It took long enough, but here it is, my Kaspa outlook and personal exit strategies for this bull cycle. As always, make sure you're subscribed for more of these videos, and if you're looking for some non-KYC exchanges, then sign up to our exchange partners with links in description. CoinW is running a campaign of giving away a free $100 for just signing up and opening a futures account, and JumpX are giving away over $100,000 in deposit bonuses. Both are of course non-KYC and non-VPN, meaning you can use them anywhere in the world, even those highly restrictive countries like Canada, the US, UK, India, wherever. When the bull market gets going, you need to have multiple exchanges in order for trading, as many go down during that time, so get prepared right now. But going back, I was not early on Kaspa whatsoever. I knew about it for a long time, faded it for a long time, but ultimately gave in September last year at around the 5-cent level when I mentioned it in a video for the first time as a good buy. A decent amount of people criticized the call, given that KAS previously rejected from there, and was already up tens of thousands of % from its launch. But the data is the data, you can't let ego get involved, and the reality with Kaspa is it was a news cycle crypto, one of the more fair launches, which is a huge feat for this cycle in particular, making continuous higher highs and higher lows against the USD and Bitcoin, not just the frontrunner, but pretty much the only significant project belonging to the currency niche. The idea for me was to play on this strength irrespective of how much it already went up, as additionally the promise of the bull market was still ahead of us, and since then, Kaspa got to as much as a 4x, hitting 20 cents, and is currently a little higher than 3x at 16 cents. Given my tone, however, I assume it's evident that I'm still holding the KAS I bought from those 5-cent price points, and have not taken profits so far. In fact, doing the opposite by increasing my exposure little by little along the way, buying dips, and recently making a pretty sizable purchase with the Solana I sold at $150. But that then begs the question, when do I plan to part ways with my KAS this cycle? What are my profit targets and why? I think the best way to define my stance on Kaspa is I am extremely, yet conservatively bullish. Out of every news cycle mid-tier mid-cap altcoin out there, I believe Kaspa has the best odds to run the hardest alongside BitTensor. The two are in the same tier, but even with the bias I obviously have with Tau, I still admit Kaspa has great odds, if not better. 80% of the gains you'll make in this cycle will occur in the final 20% of markets. This is derived from the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, essentially saying that when these crypto run, it happens slowly, and then all at once. Examples of altcoins that have done this in the past are BNB, slowly trended up, and then within 3 months going from $50 to $600. Polkadot took 3 months to go from $5 to $40. Sol took 3 months to go from $30 to $220. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know how long I've been infatuated with this idea of picking the altcoins most likely to do so for this cycle. As stated, Kaspa in my opinion has one of the highest likelihoods due to its relatively fair tokenomics community and strength, and also with my personal experience seeing crypto set up this way before a blow off top. Assets in the previous cycle like BNB, Cardano, Polkadot, Terra, Luna, Solana, Polygon, and more got tens of billions in valuation. And so my question is, what are the new coins to do so in this one? And an even more important question is, if not Kaspa, then what? Which is why I've always felt in the conditions of a normal cycle, Kaspa reaching 50 to 100 billion in market cap seems more than reasonable. That'd put Kaspa at $2 to $4 per coin, a 12 to 24x from its current 17-cent price level, or a 40 to 80x from when I first showed it at 5 cents. But why say this in such a mundane fashion? Surely I'd be over the moon about this, and I definitely am to an extent, but I think the key thing here kind of has nothing to do with Kaspa, but more so if once again we get a normal cycle. Recall I said I'm extremely yet conservatively bullish. I've explained where the extreme part comes in. The conservative has to do with this cycle deviating from the norm for the worse. I feel at this stage of the cycle, how we're a couple months post-halving, there's never been more uncertainty on if we'll get that traditional 4-year top. Even in 2020 it wasn't this bad. People made life-changing gains in DeFi, summer Chainlink did a 10x, and most importantly there wasn't the scare of Fed rate cuts or an unwinding economy. In fact, it was the complete opposite with the amount of quantitative easing we were getting. Don't get me wrong, I'm still exposed to the markets. I'm still expecting higher prices from now. But note that with the price analysis I'm about to give, it's under the assumption that we get higher prices from here regardless of if it's a top this year or next year. But if the slim chances of markets spilling over gets realized, then obviously a lot of this would not pan out. The Kaspa hash rate continues to go parabolic, recently clocking in over 900 petahashes per second. It will likely soon jump to the next unit of hash rate being 1 exahash, which is 1 quintillion hashes per second. For comparison, Bitcoin hit that network hash rate in January 2016, 7 years after its inception, with Kaspa getting it done in about 2. Other proof-of-work coins like Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Monero never even got close to this level, not even Ethereum prior to going proof-of-stake. Now this doesn't quite translate to Kaspa being better than these crypto per se, but it does mean there's a significant amount of computational power being dedicated to securing and validating the KAS blockchain. No matter what anyone says about any crypto, hash rate is important beyond any correlation with price. Instead, it suggests a confidence by those with resources in a particular network. With Bitcoin as difficulty adjusts, so do miners, constantly ensuring their belief in the network by adjusting their computing power at the same time. This traditionally after each halving has led to massive repricing of the asset to the upside, hence the belief in this sort of 4-year cycle. With Kaspa, though, it's a bit different. There's no time component to the halving. It'll occur when the total number of blocks mined reaches a predetermined threshold. The halving is also influenced by the difficulty adjustment mechanism and how it adapts to network hash rate. But similarly, just like how Bitcoin price goes parabolic after its halving, could Kaspa also have something similar occur but on a smaller scale? Kaspa has a fixed emission schedule. It's now been around for almost 30 months. As you can see, the steepest part of the emissions has already been issued. And so I think the reason the Kaspa chart looks as good as it does is due to this cyclical process where Kaspa's mined, a certain amount of KAS is rewarded per block. The halving threshold is reached and rewards are slashed in half, and this process repeats over and over again. So this KAS price action going up and to the right can sort of be seen as the Bitcoin halving process but sped up, where you keep getting halvings over and over again and miners adjusting accordingly, leading to higher price action where the process repeats. Where the amount of KAS these miners were getting was relatively absurd, which is what also likely prompted the likes of Mara to also get involved with the network. Here's the very interesting thing, however. Like I said, the emission of Kaspa is fixed, and unlike Bitcoin and other proof-of-work crypto where the halving process is complete after 100 years, Kaspa will only take probably around 8, where we've now entered the phase of the emissions slowly starting to plateau and decrease dramatically. So we'll now soon see how miners adapt and how hash rate and difficulty adapts with this steep decline in rewards, and if the KAS token that's already been issued will be able to sustain itself. There's a decent amount of people out there who think the easy part of Kaspa is over and how with rewards soon to be significantly less than what they were, interest in Kaspa will be lost and miners will start shutting down. Just recently the KAS Ice River ASICs had a big drop in value, perhaps showing that with the amount of computational power necessary combined with how low the rewards are bound to become, mining KAS is no longer worth it. Others are seeing it as buying the dip on this hardware, and how the network and price of the Kaspa token will adjust accordingly. Regardless, I do think this is something extremely crucial to keep an eye on, the whole hash rate hardware emissions side of things, especially if you're holding Kaspa. One addition, quite possibly an extremely lucrative one that may be able to dispel all these network worries, is the introduction of the KRC20 standard. Normally what we've seen with layer 1s is first their usage as a standard and then possibly the discussion of its underlying token as a currency. Ethereum as a currency is still debated, and recently Solana being a currency has also been raised to question. Bitcoin is a consensus currency, but we've never been able to build on it, albeit the start of the whole BRC20 thing. Kaspa therefore finds itself in a unique position where it too is a consensus currency that's now going to allow the issuance of applications. In my opinion, if Kaspa as a layer 1 turns out to be as successful as something like a Solana, then there is a serious bull case for the KAS token in the long term in a way in which I don't think we've ever seen. This'll likely be a multi-cycle game, but how things set up soon will be a big indicator. If there's traction and promise, then I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But bidding Kaspa in the next bear market would be a top priority, as it could be the first true currency layer 1 token. But to get to that point, we'd first obviously need to sell the tops of Kaspa for this bull market. Super base case is a 50 cent to $1 KAS. I said this last video and a lot of people got offended, but I'm not saying that's the top. I'm saying that's where I'm looking to actively anchor my KAS holdings in case we do get a lackluster finish to the cycle due to those nervy macro conditions. Again, however, in the event of a normal cycle, Kaspa I think gets to at least 30 billion, which would put it at around $1.20. A great place in my opinion to scale out, but it's that 50 to 100 billion valuation I'm most interested in, again being $2 to $4. So normal good bullish cycle we're talking up here, pathetic different lackluster cycle down here. Usually we'd never consider anything down here, but because of what's going on we now have to going forward. My advice is lock in hard and prepare for this with setting yourself up for the pleasant surprise of this. Instead of being fixated with this and getting this and joining the 95% who end up bag holders. Smash that like and subscribe button if you somehow haven't already. For any community questions or concerns, message me on Instagram, there's a link in description. Sign up to our exchange partners for all your trading needs, and I should be back in another video soon.